Actually, before the union, I never took breaks. Breaks was not even there because it was 15 minutes. So it was no point to take a break.
For example, recently I worked a 6-hour shift and I wasn't expected to get any break. But I took a half-an-hour break and I got in trouble for that, apparently. Because I had thought the previous rule we could get a half-an-hour break during 6-hour shift. But they recently changed it like a month ago. And so basically you don't get a break in a 6-hour shift. And I thought that was absolutely ridiculous.
So I was talking to this guy regarding his bonus as, a store manager. And he confided to me that he was getting around $10,000 as a bonus, which was, wow, surprising, because they were giving us like, let's say, $200, $250, most $500. And I was terminated according to scope, we didn't provide them with proper documentation. That was their word, because we didn't, provide them with proper documentation when they were doing I-9 audit, which was false, because I'm a resident since 2005. I have my green card. And
it's not only just cutting hours, they make you do more than what you're supposed to. Let's say if I only supposed to work the floor, that's what I'm supposed to do, like an employee, work the floor. And there's a girl that he likes. He'll let her lounge around, talk on her phone, and he'll yell at me to fix the whole floor. Or let's say I'm cashier, and the same thing, lounging around, conversating with him. They're having a little conversation. I'm working the floor, cashier, and if I'm not doing it, if I have to stop one moment, he'll yell at me.
It was like two kind of people who are working at school. They didn't treat us the same as the one who was working as, like the salespeople or the managers. The security and the stock boys was treating differently. Even our fitting room, where we have to change our clothes was in the boiler room.
In stock, most of us were blacks. And upstairs, you had, whites. And this guy was Puerto Rican, but very light skinned, like he more looked like Italian. And he was my assistant, and I was the lead of his stack. And when he came in, they took him and put him like on top of me. So in the end, he became like my supervisor. But I knew more than him. I handled things faster. I was more accurate, more focused, but still the only reason why they put him ahead of me was because of the color of his skin. I mean, that's the only way I could, explain it, because I personally experienced it.
We get a lot of tourists. It's never an even balance of like treatment. So it just depends on where people are from. You either have the really economic background, like rude customer, you have the really nice ones who demand more service or whatnot. Kind of, we get a lot of tourists in rude and our store, inconsiderate. So it just depends on where people are from or their economic background. If they throw things like it seems the higher income customers are the ones who demand more service, you can't complain about it because you're paid to clean it up. It's just very, very rude. Or like if they give you like inconsiderate, but it's the thing is you can't complain about it. You have to go throw it away. I've had like people throw clothes at me even though there's no reason. I said the fitting room isn't open. You can't complain about it. They get mad at me for the fact that that. Or like if they give you like a coffee, empty coffee cup throw away, you have to handle it away. I've had like people throw clothes at me, try to handle it with a smile, because even if you don't get mad at me for the fact that managers come up to you like the fitting room right now and they throw things.
To make it ready. When they come, they still sleep in the hotels. They order food, but for us, we're sleeping in the stores.
I'll see a manager with a cell phone in his pocket, but if we got caught with one, we'll get written up. And they actually have the phone ring, and they're like, oops, my bad. But they never get in trouble. Or like they go out for like 10 cigarette breaks, and I don't know how much that adds up to, but they're never clocked out. So it's like, they're more laid back with the rules, which is unfair, of course, but I guess employees, they just don't really complain about it.
The manager, the way it is, they didn't even consider us. When they do the meeting, they just make and just send a memo. Do that, that's it. They don't see the way, it doesn't have interaction.
For those who could afford it, because the health insurance wasn't free, you had to pay a certain amount of money monthly, which for us was a lot because it was over $100. So.
One of my coworkers was complaining about being sick, and one thing that always happens is when you don't feel well, they try to have you stick it through because they're more concerned about profit and closing early so they don't have to pay their coworkers any more money for closing. And he was a closer, and he started vomiting, and they still told him to stick it through. So he went up to the bathroom on the second floor and locked the door behind him. And we had coworkers trying to tell the manager how he felt, and that he wasn't feeling well, he needs to go home, and he was locked in the bathroom and speaking really out of breath. And my managers, they took a long time to come, about 15-20 minutes. But by then he already passed out. And so he passed out, and they had to call the EMT, and they had to call the fire department. And by the time they got to him, it was about 45 minutes after he passed out, and he went through cardiac arrest, and they rushed him to the hospital. And all the coworkers that were working that night went there to see what's going on. And one of our managers came out in the hospital and told us that he passed away. And I guess that was one of the most horrible nights I had at Urban Outfitters because the reaction was horrible, and the way the managers handled the whole situation was horrible and a bit sketchy. They were really afraid of getting in trouble or holding any liability. And the way we couldn't witness anything that was going on, they had us stay down at the bottom floor and just asked us random questions, did he take any drugs, whatever. And I just thought the whole treatment, it was unfair and it was uncalled for, and something could have been done a bit better than that.
In the beginning, let's say, the conditions were horrible because we were working in stock rooms infected with rats, cockroaches, and it was really difficult. But as time went on, we tried to to improve things by doing some construction works in the basement because we were complaining to the management. That's the only reason why we tried to fix some of the stuff in the stock room.
There, the condition as a stock boys, even where I was stuck, we were living in the stock room. Most of them, all of them was in the basement. We didn't have ventilation, but we was making it work. Was running to make it work.
But usually there's a lot of dust, and a lot of people get their eyes pink. I had my eyes red before because there was so much dust, or I had also I think it was dangerous for pregnant girls. If you're pregnant, you can't really touch the dust and everything. So I saw them working, or I guess what's maybe unhealthy was they make us work till 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. And it's hard sometimes because, especially a girl like me, I can't be walking in the nighttime around my neighborhood. And plus, I got school in the morning, at 7. So if I come home, I'll be home, at 3 a.m., sometimes 4 a.m. And then I got school in the morning, at 7. So I had to wake up extra early. That means I would sleep, 2-3 hours a day. The shirts are very, nasty, I have to say, because, I will see fur on the shirts, and I think it's because those rats will be there, sleeping on them, and sometimes I'll find urine in the shirts, which is disgusting. I can't believe people would wear it as soon as they buy it, so I couldn't tell them anything because it's wash the shirts before you try them. They'll just put it on, and I really can't say a thing, especially if the manager's behind me.
Was anyone ever injured while you were working there?
Yes.
And what happened?
They fell down. They had a long break, and then they came back to work.
I remember that one time this girl fell on the stairs, and she was bleeding on her tibia. And then instead of calling, they wanted to call the ambulance actually, but she was like, no, I'm fine. And then she just took a cab and went home, but after that they did nothing for her. I thought maybe we were going to give her a kind of compensation or try to help her out, paying her hospital bills, because she didn't even have insurance at that time. So, you know, it wasn't really a good thing.
Before, when the recession really hit hard in September, we didn't get a lot of hours, and we got cut a lot. And I guess people were averaging around 15 hours a week if it was really bad, 10 if it was really, really bad. And sometimes they put you on call, meaning that you don't know if your shift is guaranteed or not, and you have to call in a couple hours in advance.
You know, short hours sometimes. If I call out once because I'm sick, then he'll cut my hours to like lower than 15 hours a week, just because I called out I was sick.
Like, managers usually always get 40 hours or up plus. Mm-hmm. If you're a regular employee or not a team lead, your hours are like never guaranteed.
We actually spoke, like during our lunch break, we would speak about what are the things that like are wrong about the store. And, you know, we were thinking of, like, I remember one of us girls, we would think of, like, even try to talk to the manager. But again, like, it's really hard when you want to talk to a manager if you're going to be alone. It has to be, like, a group of people trying to get together. In Yellow Rat Bastard, I start off with 7.15, and then I got a quarter raise, and then another quarter. That was it.
Getting paid, well, like, basically $120 a week, $120 a week. You know, I'm planning to go to school and I have to pay for myself. You know, food, helping out my mom. It's hard to spread out $120 a week, you know, amongst all the responsibilities you have.
People are really devoted to the company sometimes, but it's like management, they don't see it sometimes. They don't acknowledge how much you work for them. And they're just so willing to like just throw you away like that because there's always someone else applying to work at Urban Outfitters.
For somebody from outside, it's okay, it's a dream place to be. But for people like us, we've been working there for like years, we have come to realize that it's not really what it is.
And we were only getting paid like $7.15 an hour. And it was like I was a cashier, working the floor, and like doing the shoes, doing security, and it was everything all at once. And it was just way too much for me. Okay,
you know what you should do? Maybe next time when we do your review or trying to promote you, ask for a contract with Scoop. And I'm like, Greg, you know, I cannot get that. Scoop will never give me, you know, a contract. And he's like, you're right, by the way. I'm sorry, but, you know, that's how things are.
They told us we don't have paper, which is not right. So we are fighting to have our job back.
I had to learn on my own everything, like how to fold shirts. You know, I learned it by getting yelled at all the time, like, you folding it wrong. Okay, show me. Well, one of the employees will show you. And even they were too busy to help me, so I have to learn all on my own at the beginning.
And overall, let's say condition at Scoop, I mean, in the beginning it was really rough. It was. We used to go from the city to the other stores, out of the city, like Long Island, or to the East Hamptons, and especially during like opening of the stores, we had to work overnight, no sleep at all, and even when we wanted to sleep, it was like a nap, and we're inside of the store, in the store, not in a hotel.
You can go to a manager. They always say that you're general manager in your department, and well, sometimes things get done, sometimes not really. So there's a lot of people talking behind each other's backs. Like if you say something to some person, like a manager, they're going to tell the other manager what you said about that manager. It's no like confidential information. It's basically like, it's just like gossip all around the whole team. So people get scared of saying things because they're scared of getting, you know, reprimanded for that. So it's not really, people never really feel safe complaining about anything. So they just kind of keep it to themselves or amongst employees.
I was confident that at the end I could have like, you know, a reward for it, at least to have a steady job. But I was so surprised when they fired me on October 2009.
Because a lot of people actually have been leaving because they're dissatisfied with the way employees are treated, especially like when we don't feel well. Because we have our own personal lives and our own things to go through, but when you try to bring that up to support yourself, like why you're failing a bit in your job, they don't really use that, they don't use it to help you, they just use it against you. And like if you have school and you go to school full time, they still use that against you.